I died on my 22nd birthday, in a meticulously planned accident. In the prison where I was held, a mysterious fire broke out, destroying all evidence and taking me with it. Before I was imprisoned, my biological father, Kevin James, told me coldly through the visitation glass, "For the reputation of the James family, you must confess to all the crimes. Don't worry, Nancy James will live well in your place." My biological brother, Charles James, that eternally refined and privileged golden boy, merely adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses calmly and said, "Mia, this is your final contribution to the family, we will remember you." And my biological brother, Eric James, frowned in disgust. "You corporate spy deserve to die, don't drag our family into this." Finally, my birth mother wept as she said, "I'm sorry, but Nancy James is the daughter we've loved for 20 years. We can't let her life be tarnished." They joined forces to send me into the abyss, all to cover up the massive financial fraud committed by my eldest brother, Charles James. As the flames consumed me, I saw on the news Nancy James smiling radiantly with her fiancé, announcing her nomination at an international film festival. As consciousness faded, I had only one thought: if there is an afterlife, I will make this family pay in blood. When I opened my eyes again, the blinding flames had turned into soft orange light. The gentle voice of my adoptive mother Linda reached my ears as she caressed her slightly rounded belly, smiling and asking me, "Mia, would you like mommy to give you a little brother to play with?" I gazed at her gentle eyes and brows, then at my adoptive father David peeling an apple beside us, his eyes filled with doting affection. Tears instantly burst forth uncontrollably. I'm back. I had returned to the age of 4, back to the starting point of all happiness in my life. And also to the time before that tragedy occurred. "Why is Mia crying? Don't you want a little brother?" Linda hugged me tightly, her voice anxious. I shook my head desperately, burying my face in her warm embrace, my voice choked with sobs. "I do. I want a brother." David put down the fruit knife, handed me a piece of apple, and gently tapped my nose. "Then why is our little greedy cat crying? Was it because Daddy didn't let you finish that lollipop yesterday?" I nodded obediently, chewing the apple while sniffling. In my past life, it was when my mother was 5 months pregnant that a careless medical checkup failed to detect the malignant tumor in her body in time, ultimately resulting in 2 lives lost. I waited at home, only to receive the devastating news of my father's hair turning white overnight. It was only after my mother passed away and our family underwent changes that I learned from relatives' gossip. I wasn't their biological child but an abandoned infant they had picked up at the hospital entrance on that snowy day 3 years ago. They named me Mia Smith, symbolizing how spring rain washes life clean, giving me a new beginning. Yet my mother's departure shattered my world in an instant. My father, heartbroken and overworked, succumbed to illness and followed her a few years later. No relatives were willing to take in a burden, so I was sent to an orphanage, where I spent 12 years without dignity, often going hungry. That was until I turned 16, when James' family found me. I thought it was salvation, but little did I know I was stepping into another, deeper hell. In this life, I must not let the tragedy repeat itself. I clung tightly to Linda's arm and began to act unreasonably. "Mom, my stomach hurts. Can you go for the checkup tomorrow? I want you to take me to the children's hospital today." Normally well-behaved, my sudden complaint of illness made David and Linda instantly nervous, thinking I was afraid of losing their favor after my brother's birth and was using this method to seek attention. "All right, we'll do as our little princess says. We'll skip the prenatal checkup today. Daddy will take you and mommy to the best hospital for a full-body examination." David tenderly ruffled my hair. That day, at my insistence, Mom underwent the most comprehensive full-body examination as well. It was precisely this checkup that detected the early-stage tumor hidden within her ahead of time. Because it was discovered early, the surgery was extremely successful. The doctor said that with proper rest and recovery, both she and the baby in her womb would be perfectly fine. David and Linda turned pale with fright upon seeing the diagnosis report, overwhelmed by lingering fear. Linda hugged me tightly. "Mia, you're the little lucky star of our family." I smiled. "Yes, in this lifetime, with me here, you'll all be safe and prosperous, living to 100 years. As for James's family, may they and Nancy James reunite as one happy family." In hell, I had no idea I was intentionally switched at birth. Like any child from an ordinary family, I grew up surrounded by love and warmth. My adoptive mother, Linda, was a top English teacher at a prestigious high school in the city, while my adoptive father, David, Was an associate professor in the history department at a university. Born into such a scholarly family, I was immersed in an academic atmosphere from childhood and never gave them any reason to worry about my studies. In her previous life, Nancy James was the pride of the James family, excellent in academics, multi-talented, and a celebrated socialite praised by everyone in their circle. Meanwhile, I struggled to survive in an orphanage, deprived of even the most basic education. After returning to the James family, Kevin James and his wife often compared me to her, their words dripping with disdain. Desperate for even a shred of their approval, I studied relentlessly, trying to make up for the 12 years I had lost. Yet when I finally handed them a report card that far surpassed Kathy James's, they merely responded indifferently. With such a poor foundation, what's the point of trying now? You'll never amount to anything respectable. Eric James, my younger brother, went all out with his mockery. The way you struggle is truly laughable, just a wild chicken, yet dreaming of turning into a phoenix by flying onto a high branch. Don't even think of comparing yourself to my sister. Though he was an academic failure himself, he always used Kathy James as a weapon to put me down. On the day of the college entrance exam, I was locked in the attic and missed the fate-deciding test. I told Kevin James and his wife that it was Nancy James who did it. Yet they turned around and accused me. Nancy James is so kind. How could she do such a thing? You're just upset about failing your exams and trying to smear her name to ruin her mood before her tests. Later, the family butler admitted he had accidentally locked it. I knew the James family had paid him off to keep quiet. As for why, I was certain it was Nancy James. Because she admitted to me herself that she most enjoys watching me struggle desperately yet remain powerless. The James family has two sons, the eldest Charles James and the younger Eric James. Charles James is the designated heir of the James Group, recognized as a business prodigy and a role model for all elite heirs. He dotes on Nancy James excessively, but that kind of affection resembles more the maintenance of a perfect masterpiece. He always treats others with humility and courtesy, wearing a gentle smile on his face. Yet I can't help but feel that behind those gold-rimmed glasses lies an unfathomable abyss. Toward me, he maintains a superficial kindness, but never truly cares whether I live or die. As for Eric James, my biological younger brother, he is nothing more than a spoiled, spineless playboy. He isn't inherently evil, but he is utterly foolish. He idolizes his elder brother Charles James and is infatuated with his sister Nancy James, treating their every word as gospel. If Nancy James so much as hints that she dislikes me, Eric James will immediately rally his gang of worthless friends to torment me with childish pranks, putting dead mice in my backpack, locking me on the rooftop, tearing up my homework. These were all routine occurrences. I also had to endure their isolation and humiliation. Afterward, Kathy James would hypocritically appear, playing the role of the kind older sister, criticizing Eric James for being immature. But when I tearfully complained to Mr. and Mrs. Kevin James about Eric James's misdeeds, they verbally promised to give me justice. Yet whenever Eric James claimed she was the one who upset Nancy James first, the one who ended up being punished was always me, covered in bruises. In this life, I also have a younger brother, Sam, that life from my past that never got a chance to see the world. My relationship with Sam is a classic case of love-hate. He would secretly finish all my snacks, and I would sign his failing test papers with a flamboyant parent signature, getting him a good scolding from both his mom and dad. He would draw turtles on my face while I slept, and I would change his gaming account password to the first 100 digits of pi. But deep down, we both know we're each other's most solid support, due to the mental maturity brought by rebirth. I displayed rationality and foresight far beyond my peers from a young age. In the late 1990s, I convinced my parents to invest all their savings in several tech stocks that were not favored at the time. Then, just before housing prices skyrocketed, I persuaded them to take out loans and purchase several properties in the city center. At first, they dismissed it as childish talk and missed a few opportunities. Later, they decided to humor my nonsense with a trial mindset. As a result, our family's assets multiplied dozens of times within just a few years. My parents once thought I was possessed by a business prodigy and grew accustomed to the profound economics books piled in my room. That sum of money later became my first pot of gold for starting a business in college. They often lamented how two educators ended up raising such a shrewd merchant like me, reeking of money, though I was extremely reluctant to admit it. During my years working at James Corporation in my past life, I indeed learned a great deal about business from Kevin James and Charles James. especially their gray area tactics that skirted the edge of the law. Back then, Nancy James was studying art and, after graduation, plunged headfirst into the entertainment industry chasing her dream of stardom, leaving me temporarily undisturbed. I seized every opportunity to improve myself. By that time, I had long given up any hope for the so-called familial affection from the James family and would no longer feel hurt by their favoritism. If I couldn't get love, then I would make use of the James family's resources. I stayed close to Kevin James and Charles James, learning their management styles, expanding their connections, and accumulating my own capital. I knew that even if I were to be kicked out of the James family in the future, I had the skills to make a living. But I still underestimated their cruelty. That financial fraud case was a trap set by Charles James to swallow up a rival company, but it spiraled out of control unexpectedly, affecting many. To protect him, their perfect heir, the entire James family unhesitatingly chose me as the scapegoat, fabricated all the evidence to send me to prison, and ultimately orchestrated that fire to make me die accidentally, eliminating the threat permanently. They thought I was dead, so the secret would remain buried forever. They didn't know I had returned with all my memories and hatred. I was admitted to the best provincial high school in the city, while Nancy James attended an expensive private elite school. In our second year of high school, Nancy James skyrocketed to fame through an idol drama, becoming the nation's first love, adored by millions. The James family promptly established a personal studio for her and invested heavily in promoting her image. In her previous life, Nancy James's studio served as a front for the James family's money laundering and illegal transactions. In this life, I won't give her that opportunity again. Using my hacking skills, I anonymously sent detailed evidence to the tax authorities and securities regulators, exposing Nancy James's studio for allegedly signing dual contracts, tax evasion, and involvement in insider trading. All this evidence was something I accidentally discovered and recorded while working at James Corporation in my past life. With conclusive evidence, the relevant authorities immediately formed a special task force to investigate. Once the news broke, public opinion erupted. Nancy James's pure and innocent persona collapsed overnight. Her endorsements were revoked. Films were pulled from shelves, plummeting from the heights to rock bottom, even facing imprisonment. The James family mobilized all their connections and spent astronomical sums on PR and fines, barely managing to spare her from prison, but her acting career ended there. To protect her, the James family sent her abroad to lay low temporarily. Due to this incident, James Group's stock price plummeted significantly, suffering heavy losses. This is just the first step of my revenge, a mere appetizer. I remember, in my past life, she remained glamorous even after my death, marrying into wealth and becoming the enviable Mrs. Franklin. In this life, I'll make her taste the bitterness of falling from heaven into hell. Charles James had already begun handling affairs for the James Group during his university years, employing methods even more sophisticated than Kevin James. The James family primarily operates in high-end jewelry and luxury goods. In my previous life, the James Group attempted to monopolize the market by maliciously acquiring a highly promising designer brand called Stardust. In this life, I proactively sought out John, the founder of Stardust, and invested in his brand as a financier. Leveraging my foresight in market trends, I helped Stardust flourish across online channels and new media marketing, rapidly growing it into a formidable new force capable of rivaling the James Group. Charles James viewed my sudden emergence as daybreak capital, as a thorn in his side, and began employing every means possible to suppress me commercially. Little did he know, the person maneuvering against him behind the screen was none other than the sister he had personally condemned to death. Drawing on my knowledge of his trading tactics from my past life, I anticipated every one of his business moves, setting trap after trap. The funds he used to snipe at me were lured into the traps I had laid in advance, leaving him utterly bankrupt. He wanted to poach my core team, but I turned the tables by flipping his most trusted deputy and uncovering even more of his hidden dirty secrets. After several rounds of confrontation, Charles James not only failed to harm me in the slightest but also worsened the already strained cash flow of the James Group. He grew increasingly agitated, resorting to more reckless tactics, and this was exactly what I wanted to see. In the game of cat and mouse, the chaser is often the more passive one. Eric James remains the same good-for-nothing playboy, without Nancy James as his sister and shield. His position in the James family has become increasingly awkward. Kevin James is utterly disappointed in him, while Charles James completely ignores him. his only purpose was to serve as a marriage tool, exchanging benefits for the family. Through Charles James' deputy, I learned that the James family, in order to alleviate financial pressure, was preparing to arrange a marriage alliance with another wealthy family, the Lincolns. The intended groom was Eric James. The eldest daughter of the Lincoln family was notoriously known in their circle as the female devil, spoiled, arrogant, and with a chaotic personal life. Her previous fiancés had all broken off their engagements with her due to unbearable humiliation. The James family was essentially pushing Eric James into a pit of fire. In my past life, I was indifferent to this matter, but in this lifetime, I decided to lend him a helping hand. I orchestrated a chance encounter, introducing Eric James to a girl from an ordinary family background but with a gentle and kind-hearted personality. That girl was an intern at my company, trustworthy in character, someone I had deliberately arranged. Having grown up under long-term suppression and neglect, Eric James experienced for the first time the feeling of being cared for and respected, and quickly fell in love. When the James family announced his engagement to the eldest daughter of the Lincoln family, he mustered the courage to defy his family's arrangements for the first time. He eloped with that girl, though they were quickly found and forcibly brought back by the James family. This farce left both the James and Lincoln families utterly humiliated, and the marriage alliance was completely called off. Eric James had his leg broken by Kevin James and was confined to his home under house arrest. I leveraged the media to sensationalize this drama of the second young master of a wealthy family rebelling against an arranged marriage for love, tarnishing the James family's reputation with labels like cold-blooded and oppressive toward their children. The James family's social standing suffered another severe blow. As for Eric James, the younger brother who once despised me the most, when I secretly sent someone to visit him and expressed willingness to support his pursuit of true love, he showed me gratitude and hesitation for the first time. I knew this pawn would soon be ready for my use. After the college entrance examination, I was admitted to the finance department of J University with outstanding grades. Utilizing the memories and experiences from my past life, I thrived effortlessly in the stock market and investment fields. In my freshman year, I used the money earned from previous investments to establish a technology company named Enlighten. Focusing on the field of artificial intelligence, I didn't forget to continue causing trouble for the James family. After all, no one understood the James family's business and lifelines better than I did. I had deliberately avoided meeting James family members until my senior year of college. At a business cocktail party, I unexpectedly crossed paths with Kevin James and Charles James as the founder of Enlighten Technology. At the age of 22, I ultimately reunited with the James family. That day, I had just returned home from work when I discovered Kevin James and his wife, along with Charles James, suddenly appearing in my living room. The moment my birth mother saw me, tears streamed down her face. She opened her arms to hug me, but I instinctively dodged. "Dad, Mom, who are these people?" I looked at David and Linda, who seemed troubled. Before Linda could speak, my birth mother stepped forward, grabbed my hand, and burst into tears. "My child, we are your birth parents. Mom has finally found you. I've always pretended to know nothing about my origins, so naturally, I had to play my part convincingly now." My face was full of shock and resistance. David asked them to sit down first and take their time explaining. Linda held my hand and recounted to me once more how she had found me at the hospital entrance 20 years ago. After hearing this, I frowned deeply, my eyes filled with rejection toward these uninvited guests. "Mr. and Mrs." David looked worried. "Mr. and Mrs." Kevin James had tears in their eyes, while Charles James remained expressionless. Yet his eyes, hidden behind his glasses, were silently scrutinizing me. Only Sam remained unaffected, gloating on the side. Mia Smith, I told you you were picked from the trash." I ignored him and instead grabbed Linda's hand, speaking firmly. "Dad, Mom, we've been living together for 20 years now. I've grown up, why bring up the past? Aren't we doing well as a family now?" My tone carried a hint of irritation, clearly showing my displeasure toward those who disrupted my family's harmony. A trace of awkwardness flashed across Kevin James and his wife's faces. David spoke up to comfort me. "Mia, don't worry, you'll always be Mom and Dad's daughter. Whatever choice you make, we'll support you." Linda also said, "Though Mom didn't give birth to you, she raised you through thick and thin. You and Sam hold the same weight in Mom's heart." I looked at James' family sitting across from me and spoke with a hostile tone. "Then how can you be sure they're my biological parents? There are so many scammers these days. Who knows if they're just here for money? My words were quite rude, but for a young person who had just suffered a massive shock, it was somewhat understandable. In my past life, when James' family came looking for me at the orphanage, they weren't nearly as tearful and emotional as they are now. Instead, Nancy James was crying pitifully, while my birth mother comforted her with tender concern. Eric James, on the other hand, looked at me with disdain. Is this country bumpkin really my sister? Could she be a fraud? Seeing Kevin James and his wife at a loss for words, Charles James broke the silence first. Hello, little sister, I'm your eldest brother, Charles James. It's like this. Back then, there was a mistake at the hospital where the nurse accidentally switched you with another baby. Our James family has another daughter named Nancy James, the child who was swapped with you. A few days ago, we accidentally discovered that Nancy James's blood type didn't match ours. Later, at a business cocktail party, we saw you and noticed how much you resemble Mom. Coincidentally, you share the same birthday as Nancy James. So we decided to investigate further. He was lying. They had known Nancy James wasn't their biological child since she was 16. That's why they found me at the orphanage. But this time, I didn't go to the orphanage. Unable to find me, they probably gave up. I suppressed my emotions and regained my usual composure, asking, my parents only had Sam as their child, which means it wasn't a mix-up. So where did that Nancy James come from? My birth mother quickly explained. Nancy James was the child of a nanny who worked for our family back then, so it wasn't an accidental switch but an intentional swap. That nanny wanted me dead. I scrutinized Charles James. Your earlier explanation was deliberately covering up for Nancy James and that nanny. My birth mother hurriedly defended Nancy James. Mia, we've wronged you all these years, but Nancy James is innocent too. She knew nothing about this. Charles James was clearly much more sensible than his mother. Immediately changing the subject, sister, don't worry, we've already sent that nanny to prison. I won't let anyone who hurts you get away with it. So decisive. In my past life, it took me tremendous effort just to get that woman sent to prison, because the James family feared that the nanny having a criminal record would affect Nancy James's future. They just wanted to pay her off and make sure she never had any connection with Nancy James again. Later, I insisted on reporting it to the police. But this only deepened the James family's dislike for me. Don't call me sister. We might not even be related. I snapped back irritably. The term, sister, was Charles James's exclusive way of addressing Nancy James in my past life. Charles James smiled slightly, not at all angered. I was too hasty. If you don't believe me, we can go for a paternity test right away. He always maintained this gentle, elegant demeanor, like the most perfect elder brother. Is Nancy James that actress? I suddenly asked. Yes, she's currently filming abroad, so she couldn't make it back to see you. But don't worry, Nancy James is already engaged. From now on, you'll be the only daughter in the family. Your father, mother, and I will all make it up to you. My birth mother tearfully grasped my hand. Good child, come home with Mom. I wore an expression that clearly said, are you out of your mind? No thanks. I'm doing just fine with the Smiths. Are you still blaming us? Don't you want to acknowledge your mother? She persisted relentlessly, resorting to emotional blackmail. It was Kevin James who stopped her. All right, it's understandable that Mia finds this hard to accept right away. We shouldn't rush this matter. Then, he turned to me. Mia, whether you accept it or not, I am your biological father. If you don't believe me, we can take a paternity test first. With the support of my adoptive parents, I still went with the James family to take the paternity test. They also hoped I could find my roots. The test results came out. Unsurprisingly, both families had a meal together, during which I remained visibly resistant and aloof. James's family once again proposed taking me back to live with them, but I refused without hesitation. After returning home, I laid out all the negative news about James's family that had surfaced over the years in front of my adoptive parents. Since the tax scandal involving Nancy James, the James Corporation has been on a steady decline, with investments repeatedly suffering setbacks. They've mortgaged almost all their assets, leaving only the villa where the James family currently resides and one ancestral property. The James Corporation's commercial empire has long been teetering on the brink, desperately needing a massive cash infusion to stay afloat. I know all this so well because I'm responsible for more than half of these achievements. The other small portion belonged to their beloved daughter, Nancy James, whom they saw as pure and kind-hearted, helping her fiancé's family drain her own family's resources. Such a thing was indeed something she was capable of doing. In my past life, I returned to the James family early. Nancy James harbored deep hostility toward me, fearing I would take everything from her. But the indulgence of the James family gradually put her at ease. But in this lifetime, I never showed up. The unknown is what terrifies people most. For these 6 years, she's been constantly worrying, what if I suddenly return one day? Everything she possesses now would vanish like bubbles, so she had to find herself a more secure fallback. She arranged an early marriage alliance with the Franklin family, willingly transferring the James family's interests to the Franklins. And even went so far as to betray James Corporation's trade secrets, all to cling tightly to the Franklin family's powerful influence. Judging by Charles James's attitude earlier, they must still be kept in the dark. Before coming to me, they must have thoroughly investigated my background. They knew I founded Enlightened Tech and recognized the limitless potential of my company, actively sending the nanny to prison, even at the cost of affecting Nancy James's future. Wasn't it all just to win my favor? Afraid I'd be upset. My parents don't know about the grudges from my past life, but I must warn them not to easily trust any word from the James family. Dad, Mom, the James family actually knew about the swapped child 6 years ago, but they told us they only discovered it recently. They're clearly lying to me. They knew their biological daughter was out there 6 years ago, yet only recently sent the culprit to prison. Instead, they raised the nanny's daughter like a treasure, never once thinking of avenging me. It's obvious that in their hearts, their biological daughter, mean nothing. Linda looked incredulous. That can't be right. What could they possibly gain? David flipped through the documents with a grave expression. If this information is true, then the James Corporation is indeed a company with a notorious track record. Mia is also in business. Getting involved with them would bring no benefits whatsoever. Sam's train of thought was always unconventional. Sis, you don't think they want to take you back just to marry you off to some wealthy old man for a business alliance and money, do you? Linda rolled her eyes at him. What nonsense are you talking about? Isn't that how it always goes in TV dramas? I chuckled lightly. It's not entirely impossible. You don't need to worry too much. I've got a handle on these things. Just giving you a heads up in advance. Kevin James and Charles James were busy with company matters and only managed to visit me a few times afterward. Charles James brought me several sets of expensive diamond jewelry, but I recognized at a glance that these were all Nancy James's belongings. They could no longer afford custom-made luxury jewelry, but buying ordinary pieces would seem insincere. In my previous life, when I first returned to the James family, Charles James gave me a bracelet worth $20,000 at the time. I was overwhelmed with gratitude and deeply moved, even feeling he had spent too much, until I accidentally overheard Nancy James say to him sarcastically, "Brother, you're giving that country bumpkin such a cheap bracelet now that she's back. She won't get mad, will she? After all, just one of my coats costs $300,000. Hearing the word cheap, I felt a bit sad, but I wasn't angry. After all, it was my own brother's heartfelt gesture. But then, Charles James said, "Where is it cheap?" For her previous standard of living, $20,000 is already exorbitant. If we hadn't taken her back, she'd still be starving and freezing in the orphanage. She should be grateful to us. So in his eyes, I only deserve cheap things. Kevin James brought a share transfer agreement, saying he would give me 10% of James Corporation's shares. I didn't take a single one of their things. If it were a few years ago, I might have really needed them, but now, I can afford these things myself. Kevin James looked ashamed. It's our fault for not finding you sooner. Dad just wanted to make it up to you. Even if you had found me earlier, I might not have gone with you. After all, I've been doing very well all these years. Money couldn't sway me, so they started playing the emotional card. My birth mother visited our house almost daily, chatting with Linda and subtly probing for details about my childhood. After all, she was my birth mother. Seeing her show such concern for me, Linda couldn't bring herself to turn her away and had to treat her with courtesy. Every time she saw me, my birth mother would grab my hand and repeatedly pour out her years of longing and guilt. In my past life, I suffered so much in the orphanage, yet she never showed much remorse. A month later, my attitude toward her became noticeably closer. She took the opportunity to suggest staying at our house for a while to properly bond with me. I arranged a guest room for her, yet she was being picky. "Mia, isn't this mattress too hard? And this room doesn't face the sun. The decor is too outdated. The lighting isn't bright enough." I forced a smile. "Really, our whole family has been living here quite comfortably." That morning, I was about to leave for work. "Mom, Dad, I've scheduled your annual checkup for you. Don't forget, I'll have the driver come pick you up later. I know, I remember. Seeing this, my birth mother cautiously asked, Mia, I've also been feeling unwell lately. Can I come along? I hadn't noticed until she mentioned it. In my past life, she was radiant. She regularly visited the most exclusive spas, adorned herself with high-end jewelry, never wore out-of-season clothes, and lived extravagantly. And the woman before me looked haggard, dressed plainly in outdated styles from previous years, without even a decent piece of jewelry on her. Auntie, this medical checkup was booked long ago with a specialist. Maybe you could wait till next time. She had no choice but to nod helplessly. All right, next time. Next time was just empty promises. In my previous life, when I returned to the James family, everyone said they would make it up to me. Their words were sweeter than songs, yet, all they offered were empty promises. They took Nancy James on a trip to Europe. We'll take you next time. They looked down on me for wearing cheap street market clothes. Saying it brought shame to the James family. In a few days, I'll take you shopping. Whatever Nancy James has, you'll have too. People in the circle gossiped endlessly about my identity. We'll hold a recognition banquet for you soon to formally introduce you to everyone. My birth mother took me to important occasions and, for once, bought me a set of jewelry. Just because Nancy James said she liked it, she didn't hesitate to give it to Nancy James. I'll buy you a better set next time to make up for it. None of these next times ever came true. I've lost count of how many empty promises they fed me in my past life. After work that day, I made a special trip to the luxury boutique and swept through all the latest season's clothes, bags, and jewelry. Linda never cared much for these luxury items. Whatever I bought her before just ended up collecting dust at the bottom of her closet. But this time, everything I bought was carefully selected to match my biological mother's tastes. My birth mother's eyes lit up just seeing those brand-name shopping bags. Mia, why did you buy so much stuff? She greeted me with a beaming smile. Linda sat on the sofa, giving me a helpless glance. You child, wasting money again. Didn't I tell you to save it for yourself? I greeted my birth mother briefly, then walked right past her to sit beside Linda. I cooed, oh mom, these were all gifts from business partners. Said to be a little token of appreciation for my dear mother. Stop fooling me, you must have spent quite a bit again, didn't you? Though scolding verbally, Linda still opened each one to take a look. After all, it was her daughter's thoughtful gesture. These bags are all too flashy. As a teacher, I don't even have occasions to carry them. I chuckled lightly. Then you can carry it when you go grocery shopping. What a statement piece. And these jewels are too extravagant for me. You should keep them for yourself. My birth mother quickly interjected. Oh my, isn't this V's latest limited edition necklace? It's not extravagant at all. It would pair perfectly with an evening gown. She enthusiastically explained the history and value of these brands to Linda, who politely listened with genuine interest. Finally, my birth mother added meaningfully, I used to love buying jewelry from their store the most. That's perf. Linda was about to say, that's perfect. Let me gift you one. I immediately interrupted, Auntie. I wasn't sure what style you prefer, so I only bought something for my mom. When I have time in a few days, I'll accompany you shopping personally. Good. Mia is so filial. She forced a smile, but her eyes remained fixed on those shopping bags. Linda nudged me sheepishly with her elbow, giving me a meaningful look. The implication was, after all, your birth mother is right here. You should at least show some gesture and give her something. I pretended not to notice and pulled out a few simply wrapped boxes from behind me. The earlier act was just for show. These right here were the real gifts I had bought for Linda. She didn't like diamonds, but had a special fondness for the gentle warmth of jade and emerald. Opening the box, her eyes indeed lit up. Oh my! The jade bracelet and emerald earrings have such excellent quality, understated yet elegant. I've asked someone to gather some fine jade materials. I'll take you to pick some this weekend. I don't understand these things myself and worry about being cheated. She joked. All right, with my sharp eyes here, I guarantee no one can fool you. Linda and I chatted about everyday life while unwrapping gifts, while my birth mother sat nearby, watching us with resentment. Her face darker than the bottom of a pot. That night, she approached me privately. Mia, when are you taking me for that health checkup you mentioned last time? She asked. I frowned slightly. Auntie, you seem perfectly healthy to me. Is there really anything wrong? But I just don't feel well. I've never lived like this before. My expression darkened. Auntie, what exactly do you mean by that? if you're unhappy with our living conditions, you're welcome to go back to James' place anytime. She hurriedly explained, that's not what I meant, maybe I'm just too tired lately. How about, you take me for SPA treatment someday to relax, and if possible, I'd like to get some beauty treatments too. I really don't have time right now, let's talk about it another day. I started making empty promises again. My birth mother finally couldn't hold back anymore, her face full of grievance. You have time to accompany your adoptive mother to pick out jewelry, but no time to care about your biological mother. Enough, I snapped sharply. How can my mom be compared to you? She saved my life and raised me with hardship for over 20 years, even after having her own biological son. Her love for me never diminished by a single bit. And you, what have you ever done for me besides giving me life? What right do you have to compare yourselves to my adoptive parents? My birth mother had never been confronted like this before, in the James family. She always had the final say, and her 3 children constantly indulged her. Her expression instantly darkened, filled with anger, and her tone dripped with disdain. They're just a couple of poor teachers, aren't they? Sure, they raised you, but you can repay their so-called kindness with a sum of money. That way, they won't cling to you like vampires for the rest of your life. We are your flesh and blood, the ones who brought you into this world after carrying you for 10 months. I coldly shook off her hand. Then let me make it clear to you right now, the Smiths are my family, and they're the only parents I acknowledge. If you can't respect my family, then there's no need for the James family to stay in touch with me either. My birth mother looked as if I had broken her heart and ran back to her room crying. Eric James arrived. It was my first time seeing him in this lifetime, and I almost didn't recognize him. The arrogance of a wealthy young master had long vanished from him, along with the domineering cruelty he once displayed when bullying the weak. Facing me, he was no longer the arrogant and disdainful second young master of the James family. He was silent, dull, and even somewhat timid. Eric James graduated from college last year, just like in his previous life, with no particular skills. In this life, the James family could no longer allow him to continue being that extravagant playboy. His current job is being Nancy James's assistant. That's right. The once arrogant second young master of the James family has now become the lackey of the very fake he despised the most. My birth mother explained. Nancy James said to let him work as an assistant first to gain some exposure in the industry. When the time is right, she'll use the Franklin family's resources to help him break into the entertainment industry as a star. The Franklin family dominates the domestic entertainment industry, and Nancy James is now the designated young madam of the Franklin household. Eric James wanted to enter the entertainment industry. It should have been effortless, so why start as an assistant, unless, from the very beginning, Nancy James never truly intended to help him. Being a lackey isn't so bad. Wasn't that his favorite thing to do back then? Consider it staying true to his roots. I took the initiative to greet Eric James. You must be Eric James, right? He looked up at me and timidly called out, "Sister." In my past life, he had never once called me sister. I responded with a smile and handed him the latest model phone I had just bought. I heard you like gaming. This phone's specs are perfect for that. My birth mother was so delighted she couldn't stop smiling. Ever since our big argument last time, our relationship had been quite strained. Now, she seemed to have found an opportunity to ease the tension. Blood siblings naturally get along. Eric James, you should cherish your relationship with your sister Mia from now on. Eric James took the phone somewhat sheepishly. Thanks, sis. Just then, Sam came home from school and exploded the moment he stepped through the door. Mia Smith, isn't that the phone you promised to buy me? Hearing this, Eric James froze midair with the phone in hand. Utterly at a loss, I nodded. It was bought for you, but isn't Eric James here now? Sam shouted. Then take him to buy it next time. You promised me you'd get me a new phone if I improved on this exam. I've been taking extra classes for 3 months. Whole 3 months. Are you even human? Linda stopped him. Sam, don't be rude. Eric James is practically your brother. Eric James shrank back and tried to return the phone to me. Sorry, I don't want it anymore. I shoved the phone back into his hand. It's fine. You keep it. You're my brother too. I patted Sam's head again. I just met him. What's wrong with giving him a welcome gift? Can't you let him have this? Hearing this, Eric James's eyes lit up slightly, seemingly surprised that I would stand up for him like this. Humph. Sam stormed upstairs angrily. Eric James asked with some concern, "Sis, did I make him angry?" I chuckled lightly. "It's not your fault. Hurry up and open it." "Do you like the phone, Eric James?" who hadn't felt special favor in a long time, happily unwrapped the phone packaging. "Thank you, sister." After a while, Sam came running downstairs, his earlier anger completely gone, replaced once again by that punch-worthy grin on his face. He was holding an identical phone in his hand. "Hee hee, sis, I knew you wouldn't be so heartless." I rolled my eyes. "Can't you take a joke?" I knew Eric James was coming, so I deliberately bought an extra phone and placed it in Sam's room ahead of time. At this moment, Eric James looked at the phone in his hand with a complicated expression, unsure whether to take it or not. He instantly realized that the momentary warmth of favoritism he had felt was nothing more than a joke between me and Sam. During dinner that evening, the conversation turned to Sam's grades. My birth mother asked, "Sam is about to take the college entrance exam." "Right, how are his grades?" Linda replied modestly. "Not bad. He should have no problem getting into a top university, but he still can't compare to Mia. She graduated from J University." When talking about their children, parents can't help but feel a little proud. My birth mother immediately chimed in, "Really, Mia is so outstanding." My eldest son, Charles James, also graduated from J University. Truly worthy siblings. Our Nancy James had excellent grades too, but she insisted on going abroad to study acting, and now, she's become a big star, from beginning to end. The only one not mentioned, Eric James, silently kept his head down, eating without tasting anything. I quietly observed his every move, serving him many dishes he loved. He was pleasantly surprised, not suspecting at all why I knew his preferences so well. Eric James would be staying with us for a few days. My birth mother said she wanted us siblings to bond properly. After dinner, I played 2 rounds of games with Sam. Gaming is the easiest way to get heated, and after losing, I was so angry that we ended up wrestling. Taking advantage of my height, I pinned him down on the sofa. "How did you play that team fight just now? Do you even know how to play? How dare you say that about me? Clearly, you were the one who fed first." Seeing this, my birth mother quickly urged my mom to intervene. "Oh dear, Mia is a girl. How can you bully your little brother like this?" Linda, however, couldn't care less. "Don't bother with them. Whoever can't win deserves it." Eric James watched from the side, his eyes filled with envy. In the James household, no one dared to speak a harsh word to Nancy James. Anyone who made Nancy James cry would face punishment from the entire family. This extremely unbalanced parenting approach was inherently unreasonable. They could have loved each child equally, yet they deliberately chose to elevate one while belittling another, just to showcase their unconditional favoritism toward a single child. The entire family treats Nancy James as a fragile treasure. The concern is not scarcity but inequality. Prolonged favoritism naturally breeds discontent in one's heart. Charles James is the designated heir of the family, so he naturally doesn't mind doting on one more perfect sister. It showcases his generosity. But what about Eric James? In my previous life, I vaguely sensed the jealousy deep within him. But Nancy James was at the peak of favor, so he dared not show it. Moreover, back then, I was at the very bottom of the food chain, serving as his stepping stone to find some semblance of balance. This was another underlying reason for his relentless bullying of me. He was jealous, and he was afraid. I'm better than him in every way, and he's afraid I'll surpass his status in the family. So, under the pretense of standing up for Nancy James, he relentlessly suppressed and bullied me to assert his presence and superiority. After roughhousing with Sam, I called Eric James to join me in the game room on the second floor. This was essentially Sam's exclusive domain, equipped with the most top-tier gaming setup available on the market. Sam has collected many antique gaming consoles that are already discontinued, although no one plays them anymore. He enjoys studying these devices, so I had people help gather them from all over the world for him. As soon as Eric James walked in, his eyes were filled with awe and envy. This feeling, I know it all too well. In my previous life, when I stayed at the James family's guest room for a few days and saw Nancy James's lavishly decorated bedroom for the first time, I felt exactly the same way. Eric James loved playing video games. This remained unchanged across both lifetimes. Sam had also been fond of gaming since childhood. Upon learning this, David neither forcefully forbade it nor left him unchecked, but instead guided him toward game development. During winter and summer vacations, I also enrolled him in programming classes to systematically learn about computers and software development. Unexpectedly, Sam became very interested in it and even wrote a small game program himself, making friends online who shared similar interests. Eric James played a few rounds of games with Sam and came out still wanting more. In the following days, whenever I had free time, I took Eric James out shopping and bought him things he liked. My birth mother was also happy to see it happen. Noticing his clothes were somewhat old, I took him to a luxury store and bought him hundreds of thousands worth of new clothes in one go. He said he envied the collection of rare gaming consoles in Sam's game room, so I went out of my way to buy him an identical set at a high price. He took a liking to the limited edition watch Sam was wearing, and the very next day, I gifted him an identical one. In short, I want him to experience the kind of unconditional pampering that Nancy James once enjoyed, where all her wishes were fulfilled without question, from someone who initially didn't even dare accept a phone, to now encountering someone willing to fulfill all his desires without reservation. Eric James was both moved and apprehensive, gradually opening his heart to me. He vaguely hinted to me that Nancy James treated him poorly in private. I feigned surprise. How could that be? Isn't Nancy James a pure and kind-hearted girl? How can you say that about her? As I spoke these words, I nearly burst out laughing but managed to hold it in. He grumbled, "How do you know she's pure and kind-hearted?" With an innocent expression, I replied, "Auntie told me. Besides, I occasionally watch entertainment news and quite enjoy the dramas she stars in. That was all an act. She's the best at pretending, even her persona in the entertainment industry is fake." "No way." Eric James lowered his head dejectedly, offering no further explanation. He must have told his family many times before, but no one ever believed him. I continued to provoke him. "Nancy James might just have occasional minor temper tantrums, but no matter what, she's been your sister for so many years. You shouldn't speculate about her with such malice." He let out a bitter laugh. "If only it had been you living with me all these years, how much better that would have been." A faint, almost imperceptible smile tugged at the corner of my lips, but my eyes were filled with mockery. Eric James's current situation resembles mine from my past life the most, yet, he is far better off than I ever was back then. After returning home, my birth mother suddenly suggested that Eric James should go back. "Eric James, you've had enough rest these past few days. Hurry back and accompany your sister. She's all alone on set. It must be so inconvenient without you." Eric James frowned. "I'm not going. She's a grown woman. Does she really need me to take care of her?" "How can you say that? Nancy James is a young woman. It's not safe for her alone in the entertainment industry, as her younger brother. You should protect her properly." "Who says I'm her brother? My real sister is right here. She's just some random bastard who popped up out of nowhere. Hasn't she lorded it over our family long enough?" Seeing them start to argue, I held back Linda, who wanted to step forward and mediate. "We're all family. Let's talk things out calmly." I pretended to mediate insincerely, but it had no effect. Instead, it only added fuel to the fire. Eric James finally exploded. "Haven't you favored them enough all these years?" My birth mother also got angry. "Why must you compete with Nancy James over these things? She's been more sensible and outstanding than you since childhood. In what way could you possibly compare to her, still relying on the family to support you at this age? And later if you want to enter the entertainment industry, won't you still need your sister's help?" Eric James shouted with reddened eyes. "I don't need her help." Years of repression, dissatisfaction, and grievances erupted completely at this moment, Eric James's voice turning hysterical with agitation. "Since we were little, she always got to pick the best food and toys first. The moment she shed a single tear, you'd all come running to scold me. In high school, she was the one who lied about being bullied by classmates, and I was the one who gathered people to stand up for her. Yet in the end, you pinned all the blame on me, accusing me of bullying and saying I shamed the James family. Later, you complained I spent money recklessly, so you gave all my allowance to Nancy James, but from childhood, she got whatever she wanted. When did you ever call her extravagant or wasteful? You wouldn't let me study abroad with her, saying you were afraid I'd bully her overseas. But how many times did I explain? I never laid a hand on her. She tripped and framed me. Why wouldn't you believe me?" So this was why Eric James couldn't go abroad. Smack. My birth mother slapped him hard across the face. "Eric James, that's your sister. She's been so good to you. How could you be so vicious? I think you're just too used to being idle and don't want to work at your sister's place, so you made up these lies to slander her." Linda awkwardly tried to mediate, but after all, it was their family matter, and she couldn't interfere too much. I watched the drama unfold leisurely from the side. Not snacking on melon seeds was my final act of respect toward them. Eric James pushed her away forcefully and stormed out the door. Linda hurried over to comfort my birth mother. Don't be angry. Conflicts between children are normal. My two fight every day too. My birth mother was so furious she felt dizzy. I've raised 3 children. The eldest is mature and steady. My daughter is sweet and sensible. But this youngest son is lazy and always stirring up trouble. I really wonder if he was the one switched with Mia back then. How else could I have given birth to such an unfilial child? Tisk. Is it possible that your parenting methods are the problem? My birth mother was so angry that she went back to her room to rest. Linda overheard bits and pieces of James' family drama and was completely confused. She sighed and sat on the sofa, shaking her head. It's too messy. Their family is just too messy, although you and Sam quarrel every day. You've never harbored such deep resentment as Eric James. I hugged her and comforted. That's all thanks to you and Dad's good parenting. Look how harmonious our family is. Linda glanced at me again, a flicker of relief flashing through her eyes. I can't say for sure which of those 2 children was right or wrong, but often, conflicts between siblings stem from parental favoritism. She patted my head and said softly, in the future, if your biological parents ever make you suffer for the sake of another child, you must tell us, even if it means breaking ties with them. We absolutely won't tolerate such injustice. Hearing these words, my nose stung, and tears nearly fell as I mumbled a quiet, all the grievances and helplessness from my past life instantly flashed before my eyes. If back then, I had someone standing up for me, how would James' family have dared to bully me so brazenly? Fortunately this time, they're still here. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for making me the happiest child in the world. Eric James stormed off in anger, and as his older sister, I ought to check on him. When I found him, he was furiously kicking a trash can on the roadside as if venting his frustration. Pick it up. He looked at me with surprise all over his face. Sis, what are you doing here? Pick it up, I repeated. He obediently straightened the trash can, shrinking like a child who'd done something wrong, and muttered, I didn't mean to, I was just a little angry. I softened my expression and spoke earnestly. No matter what, Auntie is still your mother. How could you treat her like this? Tears welled up in his eyes, his voice brimming with grievance. She's not my mother at all. Her heart belongs only to Nancy James, that sister of yours. Did she really bully you as you said? Of course. He nodded emphatically, as if he had finally found his only listener. She claims she hired me as an assistant, but really, she just uses me as her punching bag. Whenever she gets upset on set, she comes back and takes it out on me, either hitting or scolding me. If I dare to resist, she starts acting, pretending I bullied her, making everyone misunderstand and blame me. My expression was indescribable, perfectly conveying sympathy and disbelief. You've suffered enough. Come back with me. His eyes sparkled with delight. You believe me? I smiled faintly. Of course, you're my own brother. I found my birth mother and said I wanted Eric James to stay at my place a little longer. She seemed reluctant, as if Nancy James would face some terrible disaster on set if Eric James returned even a moment late. Whether in my past life or this one, I genuinely admire her great yet blind maternal love for Nancy James. She was different from all the other members of the James family. Her love for Nancy James was free from any ulterior motives or selfishness, purely stemming from 20 years of nurturing. I had no choice but to call Kevin James, which finally made Eric James stay. Eric James was overjoyed when he found out and grew to trust and rely on me even more as his sister, but in the following days, I began deliberately distancing myself from him. I had previously ordered a top-of-the-line gaming computer, the latest model, originally intending to give it to him. The style and color were all chosen by him personally. When the computer finally arrived, he eagerly unpacked it, tried it out, and couldn't put it down. Eric James, I hesitated, my tone full of reluctance. What's wrong, sis? The smile hadn't faded from his face yet. Well, Sam made great progress in this month's exam. I was thinking of giving him this computer first as a reward. His smile froze on his face. He's about to enter his senior year of high school, and I just wanted to motivate him to study hard and get into a good university. You're older than him, so just let him have it. Later, I'll buy you a new one, okay? His expression softened slightly, though clearly reluctant. He still nodded in agreement. Okay, how about this? Didn't you want to break into the entertainment industry? I have a classmate whose father is a very famous director in the business. Let me ask around for you. Is that true? Eric James immediately beamed with joy, all his earlier displeasure vanishing in an instant. Thank you, sis, no problem, I said, patting him on the shoulder. I did know a director, but I wasn't so presumptuous as to recommend a complete novice who knew nothing. I told Eric James that I'd take him to meet the director over the weekend, on the day of the appointment. I left home early and didn't return until long after the scheduled time. Eric James called me. "Sis, where are you?" At that moment, I was strolling around C University's campus with Sam. "I'm sorry, Eric James, I forgot about your thing. I thought since Sam rarely gets weekends off, I'd take him to C University for a visit. It's good for him to experience the atmosphere of his target university early. It'll motivate him to study harder." Eric James's tone was filled with barely concealed disappointment. "But you promised me. Sam's already a senior in high school. His matters are more urgent than yours. Next time, I'll definitely take you." "Next time again. You clearly said that both Sam and I are your brothers." "Enough. He's young and doesn't know any better. But are you going to act immaturely too? What's there for you to argue with him about?" With that, I impatiently hung up the phone. Not long after, Sam walked over gnawing on a big chicken leg. "Sis, can we check out a different school? Their cafeteria food is seriously awful." My attitude made Eric James feel unprecedented panic. Several times he tried to have a proper talk with me, but I brushed him off impatiently, using work as an excuse. That day, I finally took the initiative to seek him out. "Eric James, I happen to be free today. Would you accompany me to buy some things?" Having endured days of neglect, he eagerly nodded when he saw me initiating conversation. "Sure, I can." I drove him to an upscale private dining restaurant. "Let's eat first. As it happens, I've invited a friend who's also here." "Sis, is it your boyfriend?" He tried to crack a joke to ease the tense atmosphere of the past few days. A glint of something unreadable flashed in my eyes. "No, it's a girlfriend." Inside the private room, a girl around my age was already waiting. "Eric James, this is my friend, Maya." Eric James greeted politely. "Hello, Sister Maya." The girl simply nodded faintly in response. During the meal, I deliberately brought up Eric James's desire to enter the entertainment industry. "Maya, aren't you working as an agent at an entertainment company? What do you think of my brother? Does he have what it takes to be a star?" Maya gave Eric James a once-over and said flatly, "He's decent looking, but lacks distinctive features. Not very memorable." "Is he professionally trained? Any special talents?" Eric James's face instantly turned red, and he stammered, unable to get a word out. I stepped in with a smile to smooth things over. "He just wants to give it a shot." "Do you have any low-budget, quick-profit web dramas where he could play a minor role for fun?" Maya frowned. "Sis, are you kidding me? How competitive are web dramas these days? It's not as easy as you make it sound. Besides, he's your brother. If you're going to send him anywhere, it should be to star in big-budget productions." I sighed. Big productions aren't that easy to come by. Our family doesn't have any connections. During this meal, Eric James couldn't sit still. His proud family background seemed like a joke in front of real industry insiders. On the way back, Eric James remained silent. I comforted him. "Don't be discouraged. Maya just speaks bluntly like that. I think you still have great potential. I'll ask around for other opportunities for you later." He forced a smile and said, "Thank you, sis." He didn't know that Maya was a signed artist under my company, and every word she said was scripted by me in advance. I wanted him to understand that without the James family, he was nothing, and the only one who could help him was me. The real showstopper is yet to come. When I got home, my parents happened to be out for a walk, which was perfect for me to make my move. I called Eric James into the study and pulled out a document. "What's this?" he asked, puzzled. "A share transfer agreement," I said calmly. "I intend to acquire James Corporation." Eric James's eyes widened instantly. "Sis, you know better than I do what state James Corporation is in now." I interrupted him. "It's been reduced to an empty shell by Charles James and your father, drowning in debt. Rather than waiting for it to go bankrupt and be liquidated, you might as well sell it to me. I can guarantee that after the acquisition, the James name will remain unchanged, and you will still be the second son of the James family." He fell silent, knowing I spoke the truth. "I need you to obtain the shares held by your father and your brother." "That's impossible." He immediately shook his head. "My father, your father can't even protect himself now, and Charles James is still missing. Those old shareholders of James Corporation have long wanted to kick him out. As long as you take my acquisition proposal to them, they'll know what to choose." I handed him a pen. "This is your only chance. Helping me is helping yourself. Think about that gentle and kind girl. Do you really want her to suffer with you?" This sentence became the final straw that broke him. His hands trembled as he took the document. "Sis, what should I do?" I smiled. "It's simple. I want you to retrieve all the original evidence of Charles James's fake accounts and insider trading over the years. These things are all in the safe in his study. The password is your sister Nancy James's birthday, in my past life." It was precisely because I accidentally discovered this safe that Charles James silenced me forever. In this life, I will make Eric James personally deliver his beloved elder brother to prison, armed with the imperial sword I gave him. Eric James successfully persuaded several senior shareholders of the James family. Seizing the opportunity when Kevin James was under investigation and the house was empty, he opened Charles James's safe. When he saw the shocking criminal evidence inside, he finally understood the true nature of the brother he had always idolized. He handed the evidence over to me. Instead of reporting it to the police immediately, I anonymously sent the evidence to Charles James's business rival. A fiercer commercial storm, powerful enough to completely engulf the James family, was about to strike. Kevin James is a businessman who places extreme importance on reputation and family interests. In his previous life, he favored Nancy James primarily because she better fit his ideal image of a perfect wealthy heiress. Secondly, it was because Nancy James's engagement to the young master of the Franklin family could bring immense benefits to the James family. As for me, a child raised in an orphanage, I only brought him shame the first time he took me to a banquet. My nervousness and timidity drew ridicule from many. After the banquet ended, he didn't comfort me or teach me anything. Instead, he slapped me hard in the car. "Disgraceful thing, I don't have a daughter as shameful as you." So, he turned a blind eye to his biological mother's favoritism and ignored Eric James's bullying. Later, when I worked at James Corporation and gradually demonstrated my business talents, I slowly earned his concern and attention. He would take me to various business events, proudly introducing me to his partners. "This is my daughter, Mia Smith." By then, I was no longer moved by such hypocritical displays of fatherly love. I proposed to him that I wanted shares in the James Corporation, yet he coldly said to me, "Mia Smith, know your place." In his eyes, I was merely a useful tool capable of creating value for him. When I proposed leaving the James family to establish my own business, he refused to let go of the benefits I could bring him. He said, "If you can no longer create value for the James family, then obediently enter a business marriage to exchange for the family's final benefits." Later, a project I was responsible for encountered a mishap. The core design blueprints were leaked prematurely, causing significant losses to the company. Kevin James knew perfectly well that I wasn't the one who leaked the blueprints, yet he still pinned all the blame on me. He told me, "Mia Smith, I only care about results and profits." I already had suspicions about who leaked the design drawings at the time, but before I could gather evidence, I was kidnapped along with Nancy James. I suspect that the person who framed me is the same one who orchestrated my kidnapping, from beginning to end. That person's target was only me. Kidnapping Nancy James was merely a smokescreen, and also a way to stage that choose one scenario, completely eliminating any possibility of my survival. After all, what kind of kidnapper would be so unprofessional as to take two hostages and force the family to make a choice? Isn't that just plain crazy? Wouldn't it be better to collect double the ransom, having the chance to obtain the core blueprints of the James Corporation while simultaneously orchestrating the kidnapping of both me and Nancy James? Most importantly, this person has a direct conflict of interest with me. Apart from Charles James and Eric James, I can't think of a third person. As for Eric James, I seriously doubt he has the brains for it. Not long after my biological mother and Eric James left, Kevin James reached out to me on his own. In the restaurant, he looked serious. "The James family can sever ties with Eric James." "What?" I feigned surprise. He said earnestly, "I will no longer provide him with any financial support. Whatever you want to do to him, I won't stand in your way." Ha! I thought he was here to plead for his son, but then again, this is Kevin James's true nature, cold-blooded and heartless. "He's your own flesh and blood," I sneered. He smiled indifferently. "Mia Smith, you're clever. With just a little trick, you successfully drove a wedge between Eric James and Nancy James. Do they still have any feelings left between them?" I retorted. At that moment, several entertainment news notifications popped up on my phone. #popular actress Nancy James bullies newcomers. Hashtag Nancy James exposed for long-term abuse of assistant. Hashtag Nancy James engages in malicious competition, causing actress to be disfigured during filming. Beneath each news article were attached high-definition images, and even several undeniable clear video clips, leaving her no opportunity for public relations whitewashing. It didn't take a genius to guess. This was Eric James's retaliation. All my efforts to provoke him hadn't been in vain. I turned to Kevin James. You've known about Eric James's actions all along, know all the injustices he suffered, know Nancy James's oppression and beatings toward him, just like in his past life. He chose to turn a blind eye. Kevin James's tone carried not a trace of warmth. It's his own fault for being weak. He didn't come today to reminisce about old times with me. From the moment I kicked his wife and son out of the Smith family, he realized that playing the family card wouldn't work on me. So, he didn't bother maintaining that facade of a benevolent father anymore. You're more outstanding than the three of them combined. Enlighten has only been established for 3 years, yet it's already grown to such a scale. Its potential is limitless. If back then, you hadn't been taken away by that nanny, I would have definitely raised you as my most outstanding successor. I don't believe you. My response was too quick and too blunt, causing Kevin James's expression to crack slightly. He pulled out another new share transfer agreement. Then now, I can fulfill my promise. I didn't even glance at it. President James, I'm not a fool. What does the James Corporation have left that's worth my scheming for? Young man, you need to think long-term. The James and Franklin families are collaborating on a major project. As long as this project succeeds, the James family can make a comeback. His tone was firm. This collaboration was clearly facilitated by Nancy James. What's the condition? You wouldn't just give me such a big gift for free, would you? I need $50 million in funding for liquidity. How much? I was utterly shocked. President James, I started from scratch. It wasn't easy. This is all the liquid capital the company has. If I give it all to you, how am I supposed to keep my business running? He looked completely at ease. What's there to worry about? Once the project succeeds and the funds flow back, I'll return double the amount. Eventually, the entire James Corporation will be yours. Here we go with the empty promises again. I shook my head. I won't accept this. He frowned in confusion. What could possibly dissatisfy you about such a lucrative partnership? I curled my lips slightly. It's not dissatisfaction. But rather, I don't trust you. What if you screw me over? You, Kevin James turned livid with anger. Just kidding. I hastily cut him off. I refuse to cooperate with you because I'm a fine young socialist, firmly opposed to all enterprises and individuals that violate laws and regulations. The next second, his phone rang, abruptly cutting off the anger he had just mustered. I pointed at his phone and said, I know you're furious right now, but hold that thought. After hanging up, he stared at me with a face full of shock and uncertainty. Mia Smith, was it you? I chuckled lightly. No, it was you. Soon, the news of James Corporation's tax evasion will spread across the internet. Everyone will know that the successful CEO James is nothing but a hypocrite. Mia Smith. He slammed the table in anger. I am your father. My father's name is David. He taught me to abide by the law and be strict with myself. As for you, I glanced at him indifferently. I don't have such a disgraceful father. The James family was anonymously reported by me. Those solid pieces of evidence were also handed over to the tax bureau by my own hands. I don't covet anything from the James family, but at the same time, I have no intention of leaving them anything either. Kevin James is a selfish and cold-blooded man who cares nothing about family ties. Even his own flesh and blood can be casually discarded, then I'll destroy the career he's so proud of. Along with the reputation he values most, Kevin James is soon to face imprisonment. Nancy James's scandals continue to spread online, and Eric James is nothing but a useless coward who can't handle pressure. At this critical moment, Charles James, the only remaining pillar of the James family, has suddenly gone missing. The Franklin Group immediately announced its withdrawal of investment and terminated all cooperation with the James Corporation. The James family owed astronomical taxes and fines, forcing them to borrow money from Nancy James. Nancy James gave them no quarter. My birth mother and Eric James made a scene at the Franklin Group headquarters, only to be dragged out by security like stray dogs. My birth mother came to see me several times, but I turned her away each time. When my parents found out, they just sighed and didn't interfere further. My father even called me into his study and interrogated me sternly, finally saying earnestly, "A gentleman loves wealth, but acquires it in the proper way." I helplessly assured him, "Dad, I paid my taxes on time." At this point in the situation, I thought Charles James would come looking for me. After all, with Kevin James fallen, he was now the head of the James family. But I ended up encountering Nancy James first. Nancy James, the person who stole my identity from birth, the root of my 22 years of suffering in my past life. It wasn't until now that I finally saw her for the first time. I took revenge on Kevin James, my birth mother, Eric James, and even the entire James group, yet she was the only one I never laid a hand on. Even her current reputation full of scandals is Eric James's handiwork. Although I deliberately instigated some of it, do I not hate her? Of course I do, but compared to her, what I hate more are those relatives who share my blood yet treat me with cold indifference. In my past life, during those 16 years when Nancy James replaced me, I harbored resentment but could do nothing about it. After returning to the James family, at first, Nancy James only had petty thoughts of jealousy and rivalry. She was constantly testing the attitudes of the James family members. It was their repeated indulgence and favoritism that gave Nancy James the audacity and capital to hurt me. She merely had to shed a few tears, and my closest relatives would blame me, scold me, even strike me, with just a casual lie from her. My family would believe her without hesitation, though uncovering the truth would have been effortless for them. They all jumped to the conclusion that I must be the one at fault. If they had shown me even the slightest bit of love, perhaps I wouldn't have endured those inhuman sufferings. Nancy James merely handed them the knife, but those so-called family members were the real executioners who sliced my flesh piece by piece. I hate Nancy James, but I hate them even more, 1,000 times. 10,000 times over. So you're Mia Smith. Nancy James was dressed impeccably, her eyes brimming with innate arrogance and disdain. It was me, she sneered coldly. Nothing special. I heard from my elder brother that you're quite impressive, having founded some company. I've looked into it. Compared to your Franklin family's business empire that's been passed down for decades, it's still far behind. I chuckled lightly. You've gone through all this trouble just to say I'm inferior to you. That I'll never measure up to you, haven't you? She nodded. That's a fact, I scoffed. What gives you the confidence to say that, just because you're currently entangled in scandals and being boycotted by the entire internet, with the Franklin family backing me? Do you really think I won't have a chance to make a comeback? And even if I quit being an entertainer, I can still retire peacefully and continue living as a wealthy socialite. Mia Smith, do you have any idea how much I hate you? Her eyes suddenly turned venomous. Hate me? I was somewhat confused. Although you've taken what's mine by force, I've never once thought about reclaiming everything that rightfully belongs to me, have I? What gives you the right to hate me? She sneered. Because you're the legitimate heiress of the James family, while I'm destined to be nothing more than a counterfeit that can't be shown in public. Why couldn't the one born into the James family have been me? Ever since I learned the truth at 16, I've lived in constant fear, terrified that you might suddenly return one day. After Mom and Dad found out the truth, they claimed they'd still treat me as their own daughter, but deep down, they've never stopped thinking about you. I couldn't be bothered to argue with someone as insatiable as her. My fault, I deliberately replied in a mocking tone. Guess I'm just lucky. Who told you to be born to a maid? Who told you couldn't keep your origins a secret, and who told them to keep remembering me? You. Her lips turned pale with rage. So what if you've been recognized by the James family now? You're still unlucky. If you'd come back just a few years earlier, you could have played the rich heiress. Now the James family has nothing left. But me, I'm still the future mistress of the Franklin household. So, this is your excuse for helping your in-laws cheat your own family, I retorted. You stole James Corporation's trade secrets, intercepted the James family's crucial projects, coached James Corporation's core executives, step by step paving the way for your fiancé Bruce. You really are hopelessly in love with him, aren't you? Nancy James's face instantly turned panicked. I don't know what you're talking about. I remained calm. The fact that I know these things means I've already obtained solid evidence. She froze for a long moment before suddenly regaining her composure. What does it matter if you know? I'm determined to destroy the James family before you can return, even if you're their biological child. Don't think you'll get anything from the James family. I shrugged. Whatever. It's not my interests that are being harmed anyway. Her brows furrowed tightly. What do you mean? You're not planning to go back to James' house? She thought I went through all that trouble just to go back and be a down-and-out heiress, so she deliberately came to flaunt her superiority in front of me. I didn't answer her anymore, just pressed the save button on my phone to preserve the recording, then stood up and left. In this lifetime, I never intended to personally do anything to Nancy James. I prefer to watch her, step by step, reap what she sows and head toward destruction. Ever since reuniting with the James family, I've had people discreetly monitoring their movements. Now that such a major incident has occurred in the James family, Charles James hasn't shown up at all, nor has he come looking for me. This is too abnormal. I couldn't find any trace of him. A sense of foreboding surged in my heart. Go stay at the school dormitory for a while, I said to Sam, who was on summer vacation. Why not? Staying in the dorm will make it easier for you to preview the senior year curriculum in advance. I can study at home too. Just go when I tell you to. Stop with the nonsense. I'm not going. The dorm beds are uncomfortable. I glared at him. Still sleeping? You're about to be a senior in high school. At your age, how can you even think about sleeping? Sam, Mia Smith. You're not trying to send me away so you can secretly inherit those 3 acres of land back home by yourself, are you? Me? I'll give you money. He flashed an ingratiating smile and performed a perfect ancient-style bow. Right away, sis, just leave it to me. After sending Sam away, I booked my parents a luxurious 2-week European tour to help them relax. They were initially reluctant, I said. I'm about to go on a business trip for a very important project and won't have time to deal with household matters. What if James' family comes knocking again? How would you handle them? My parents dislike James' family, but given my blood ties to them, they don't want to escalate conflicts. Out of sight, out of mind seemed the better option. I couldn't possibly tell them about being reborn. It's too unbelievable. They'd never accept it. I've secretly arranged top-tier bodyguards near the school and around my parents. Recalling my past life's kidnapping experience, I can still vividly feel the weightlessness of falling off the cliff and the excruciating pain of every bone shattering. The Smith family villa stands empty. Someone has to move in eventually. I took in my homeless birth mother and Eric James once again. In the living room, Eric James was huddled in a corner, clearly still afraid to face me. My birth mother looked haggard, her face streaked with tears. Mia, please help your father. We've even mortgaged the old house, but we still don't have enough money to pay the fine. Ignoring her pleas, I asked directly, where's Charles James? My birth mother said, your eldest brother has also gone to try and raise money. Where did he go? I asked impatiently. I'm not sure either. He only mentioned going abroad to seek help from a friend. Abroad? When? It was just 3 days ago. My heart skipped a beat. My parents had also gone abroad around that time. Steadying myself, I deliberately asked, what exactly happened? Wasn't Nancy James the apple of your eye? She's always been so kind. How could she refuse to help? Don't mention that ungrateful wretch. A child not of your own blood will never truly belong. We raised her in luxury, even prepared such a generous dowry for her. Yet she wouldn't lend us a penny. With indignation written all over my face, I retorted. Even though I'm not close to you, Nancy James has enjoyed the James family's resources for over 20 years. She ought to shoulder this responsibility in my place. How could she treat you like this? Eric James roared at his mother. How many times have I told you? She's nothing but a vicious woman, yet you refuse to believe me. My birth mother wiped her tears and said weakly, enough, what's the point of saying all this now? She clutched my hand as if grasping her last lifeline. Mia, please help us. If the James family can pull through this crisis, we'll make it up to you somehow. Family bonds, they can be nurtured over time. I awkwardly withdrew my hand. I'd love to help, but I don't have that much money either. Our Smith family isn't some wealthy dynasty, and my company has only just been established. Where would I have saved up that kind of money? What should we do then? Eric James muttered gloomily. Don't drag my sister into this. It's your own fault for trusting Nancy James so much back then. Nancy James came to see me a few days ago. I took out the recording from last time. I never expected she would harm the James family to this extent. All for a man. The conversation between me and Nancy James came through the phone. I slightly edited the parts where I spoke. In the recording, Nancy James admitted herself that she had pushed James Corporation step by step into the abyss of ruin for Bruce's sake. My birth mother completely broke down after listening to it. Eric James's face was filled with a sinister expression. I'm going to kill that bitch. Enough, I interrupted them. You can't even see her face right now, so stop overestimating yourselves. I sighed, pretending to be troubled. I'll think of something. James's villa and ancestral home were both mortgaged. I let them live here peacefully. Eric James looked at me with gratitude, as if I were still the loving sister who would unconditionally favor him. My birth mother seemed to have found emotional support, settling comfortably into my home while waiting for me to resolve all their problems for them. That day, I received a call from an unknown number. Mia Smith, long time no see. The voice on the other end was still as gentle as ever, yet it sent a chilling cold through me. Charles James. I heard you've been looking for me, he chuckled. Yes. I leaned against the floor-to-ceiling window of the office, watching the bustling traffic below. The James Group is almost bankrupt, yet you, the heir, disappeared without a trace. Of course, I had to find you. I just went abroad to handle some personal matters. Is that so? I thought you went to hunt down my adoptive parents. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds, followed by his soft chuckle. As expected. You know everything. You killed me in my past life. And now you want to try the same trick again. No, 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 he denied. In this lifetime, how could I bear to let you die? I just want to invite uncle and auntie abroad for a relaxing trip and, incidentally, discuss a business deal with you. What business? I want Qiming technology from your hands, and you yourself. He paused, his voice carrying a trace of undeniable dominance. Return to the James family and become my right-hand man, with our sibling partnership. We can surely restore the James family to its former glory. Do you really think that's possible? Nothing is impossible. I know you hate us, but in business, there are no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. You wouldn't want your innocent adoptive parents to suffer for you, would you? A blatant threat. I sneered. Charles James, do you really think I'm still the Mia Smith from my past life who let you manipulate me? You can't kidnap them. Oh, so confident, are you? Because I enunciated each word clearly. They never left the country. Your men are probably still searching fruitlessly at the airport, aren't they? Dead silence once again filled the other end of the line. After a long pause, Charles James's voice finally returned, but this time, his gentle facade had completely shattered, revealing nothing but icy murderous intent. Mia Smith, must you fight until both sides are ruined? It won't be mutual destruction, just your own utter downfall. I hung up the phone and immediately dialed another number. It's time to close the net. A few days ago, I did send my parents to the airport, but they didn't board the plane. Instead, through a secret passage I arranged, they went to a private resort under my name. As for those photos Charles James used to threaten me, they were merely pre-synthesized by me. I wanted him to think he had the upper hand, so he would reveal his true colors. The people he used to kidnap my parents had long been under surveillance by my team, and as for him, the moment he returns to the country, he will be arrested by the police immediately. He thought he was still the hunter in control of the game, unaware that he had long been the prey trapped in my net. Charles James was arrested at the airport. What awaited him was a trial with multiple charges. The James Group, due to the complete downfall of its core leadership and exposure of a series of business crimes, was forced into bankruptcy liquidation. A once glorious business empire collapsed just like that. I didn't attend the trial, only learning about the final verdict through the news. Both Kevin James and Charles James were sentenced to life imprisonment. My birth mother, suffering severe mental trauma, was admitted to a sanatorium. And Eric James, taking his beloved girl with him, completely severed ties with the James family and moved to a small town where no one knew them, starting a new life. Before leaving, he sent me a message. Sis, I'm sorry, and thank you. I didn't reply. Between us, there was nothing left to owe. Nancy James met the most tragic fate, having lost the support of both the James and Franklin families. She struggled abroad. It was said that she fell victim to retaliation from rivals she had previously offended, becoming embroiled in an irrecoverable scandal that ultimately ruined her reputation and left her whereabouts unknown. Later, someone spotted a woman bearing an uncanny resemblance to her in a red light district overseas. But none of this concerns me anymore. I've finally reclaimed all the justice owed to my past self. Those who once hurt me have paid the price they deserved. Sis, come blow out the candles. Sam had just received the admission letter from J University, and his family was hosting a celebration banquet for his academic success. Amidst the congratulations from relatives and friends, Linda spoke modest words, but the smile on her face couldn't be contained. David got drunk, wrapping one arm around me and the other around Sam, bragging tipsily, in my life, I've mentored so many outstanding students, but the ones I'm most proud of are still these two kids. Come on, second uncle, open another bottle. Sam leaned in and complained to me. I ended up going to J University after all, but their cafeteria food is absolutely terrible. Sis, how about you donate a cafeteria to the school? I shot him an exasperated glance and said, get lost. Outside the window, the sunlight was just right, and the breeze was gentle. This happiness, 22 years overdue, I finally grasped firmly in my hands. Extra Chapter 1, Eric James. After leaving that suffocating city, my girlfriend Maya and I settled down in a picturesque southern town. With the money secretly gifted to me by sister Mia Smith, no, I should call her Mia Smith now, we opened a small dessert shop. Maya loves making sweets, and I've finally found a career I'm willing to dedicate my life to. At first, I would often wake up startled from nightmares. In my dreams, there was the vast, icy villa of the James family, Nancy James's face, sometimes tearful like pear blossoms in rain, sometimes twisted with venomous hatred, my father's utterly cold gaze, my mother's hoarse and biased defense, and behind my eldest brother's gold-rimmed glasses, an abyss I could never fathom. Whenever this happened, Maya would hold me tightly and whisper comfortingly, "It's all over, Axie, it's all over, yes, it's all in the past." I once thought I would remain forever the useless one living in the shadow of my elder siblings, the good-for-nothing playboy who could only throw his weight around thanks to the family name. I hated Nancy James. Hated how she stole all the attention and affection that should have been mine. I also feared Charles James, feared his seemingly gentle yet distant gaze, as if I were merely an insignificant object. But what I hated most was actually my own cowardly, foolish, and utterly wicked self. It was Mia Smith's appearance that, like a beam of light, split open my chaotic and miserable life. She made me see through the hypocritical familial affection of the James family, and also made me understand that a person's worth is never determined by their origin or family background. The dessert shop's business gradually improved, and Maya's and my life got back on track. We developed new desserts together, decorated the shop together, and took walks hand in hand under the sunset. I learned how to care for others, how to take responsibility, and how to love someone. I still think of Mia Smith occasionally, recalling the latest model phone she handed me during our first meeting, recalling how she took me shopping and generously bought everything I liked without hesitation, recalling the scene at the dining table where she quietly served me dishes. I once thought it was belated familial affection. It wasn't until later that I gradually came to understand that was merely an insignificant part of her revenge plan. All her kindness toward me was only meant to turn me into the sharpest blade in her hand, to personally pierce the resplendent robe of the James family. Did I ever resent her? Perhaps I did, but more than anything, I felt gratitude. If it weren't for her, I might never have escaped the cage of the James family, forever remaining that detestable second son of the James household. She gave me a new life and made me a better person. The weather was beautiful on the day Maya and I got married. I didn't tell Mia Smith, but I knew she must be living somewhere, happier than anyone else. After the wedding, I received an anonymous package. Inside was an exquisitely carved pair of dragon and phoenix jade pendants, made from the same piece of jade as the token of love I had given Maya. The card bore only one sentence: "Happy wedding, my little brother." I clutched the jade pendant, gazing at the brilliant sunlight outside the window, and tears finally fell. This time, it wasn't from grievance or resentment, but rather relief. Extra 2, Charles James. Life in prison was as monotonous as stagnant water. I thought I would spend the rest of my days here, consumed by endless regret and bitterness, until that day, a sudden high fever sent me back to the summer when I was 22. I was reborn, with all the memories of my past life intact. I returned to the eve of the financial fraud case spiraling out of control, back to when Mia Smith hadn't yet died accidentally, in the study, staring at the evidence in the safe that could ruin me forever. I felt a bone-chilling cold for the first time. In my past life, I thought I was the hunter controlling the entire game, manipulating everyone at my will. I eliminated the threat of Mia Smith, securing my position as the perfect heir and bringing the James Group to unprecedented glory. Yet I never expected that the country bumpkin sister I'd always looked down upon would return, filled with hatred. The traps she set struck precisely at the James Group's lifelines. She turned my most capable deputy against me, sowed discord between Eric James and Nancy James, and even my foolish mother became a pawn in her hands. She was like the most skilled chess player, step by step forcing all of us into a desperate situation, and I, until the very end, never knew exactly where I had lost. In this life, I won't give her any more chances. I destroyed all the evidence in the safe and terminated that out-of-control merger plan ahead of time, keeping all losses to a minimum. I need to reevaluate this younger sister. In my past life, I only saw her as a somewhat clever but ultimately insignificant wild child. It wasn't until she appeared at a business reception as the founder of Enlightened Technology that I truly acknowledged her existence for the first time. She was no longer that timid girl with eyes full of eagerness to please and self-abasement. She was calm, confident, and radiant, her clear eyes harboring a depth and sharpness that belied her age. I knew she had returned as well. Between us, there was bound to be a life-and-death struggle. I began to take the initiative in showing her goodwill. I personally visited the Smith residence, adopting an extremely humble attitude. I even went so far as to apologize to her in front of Mr. and Mrs. David for the James family's negligence over the years. What I gifted her was no longer Nancy James's outdated old jewelry, but priceless antique jewelry I personally acquired for her at auction. I even took the initiative to transfer 15% of the James family's shares to her name. My overture surprised everyone, including Mia Smith. She no longer harbored the same hostility toward me as in her past life, yet she always maintained a certain ambiguous distance. She was testing me, and I was observing her. We were like two wary beasts, neither daring to bare our fangs first, until the dual contract incident involving Nancy James erupted, just like in my previous life. The James family was once again caught in a whirlpool of public opinion. Unlike my past life, I didn't spend a fortune on PR for her. Instead, I immediately sent her abroad and publicly announced the severance of our sibling relationship. My decisiveness left both Kevin James and our mother utterly bewildered. Charles James, have you lost your mind? Nancy James is your most beloved sister, I just said calmly. A sister who would bring catastrophic disaster to the family. I don't need her. What I need is a true family member who can stand shoulder to shoulder with me in battle and together propel the James family to its peak, and that person can only be Mia Smith. Taking advantage of handling the Nancy James incident, I began secretly investigating her studio's accounts. Soon, I uncovered evidence that the Franklin family had used Nancy James for money laundering and stealing James Corporation's trade secrets. I anonymously handed over this evidence to Mia Smith. I knew she understood better than I did how to use these materials to deliver a fatal blow to the Franklin family. Sure enough, before long, the Franklin Group was thoroughly investigated for a series of commercial crimes, causing their stock prices to plummet and pushing them to the brink of bankruptcy. Meanwhile, Mia Smith's Enlightened Technologies took the opportunity to acquire Franklin Group's most core artificial intelligence business, instantly becoming a leading enterprise in the industry. Between her and me, there seemed to form a subtle tacit understanding. Neither of us pierced that layer of window paper, yet in secret, we mutually used and achieved each other. That day, I arranged to meet her at a private club under my name. Congratulations. I raised my wine glass, smiling gracefully. How does it feel to have your share of the Franklin family's big cake? She smiled faintly, her eyes glinting. Mutual joy, mutual joy. Didn't President James also take this chance to thoroughly cleanse the parasites within James Corporation? We exchanged a knowing smile and drained our glasses. Outside the window, the city's countless lights twinkled. I know that the real game belonging to us siblings has only just begun. As for winning or losing, who can say? After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.